What is up? This is episode 24 of Late Night Tangents podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Taylor.
And I'm Eric.
And that's Eric. So, no reason to I say we just glance over the fact that we've been gone.
Oh, okay.
And we just say, so anyways, I was talking to you before the podcast about some tips and tricks that I learned in the gym the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't been to the gym really in the last few weeks, but I've been in this big fat slump. And Eric and I recorded a podcast last weekend, and we decided to hold off on posting that just because we just weren't there. Like our energy, our person, we were just both like having a pretty bad weekend. So we didn't want to give that to you guys, even though it would have been real and it would have been genuine. It just didn't seem appropriate.
Right. I think it's fair to say that everybody's got their days. It happens. It's life. And we just want to bring you the best product that we possibly can. That's it.
And
we didn't feel like it was the best product, so.
Even for it being genuine, it wasn't a good product.
Right.
I feel like I need to turn on my light. Hello? How's that?
There you go.
Better.
Yeah.
So anyways, I have this interesting information I think I've figured out about myself. Because I've been lifting for years and years and years, and I've tried a lot of different lifting styles and sets and rep ranges and movements and whatever. And I've just been trying to figure out, because like I have a decent looking physique for what I want, but I'm just like, I don't know why I don't see the same like results that other people see, even with or without steroids. And I'm like, I guess I just haven't really found my recipe yet, but I think I just figured out a hack for my own person.
Yeah.
And so there's been I've heard a lot of advice from a lot of different people on sets and rep ranges, and typically like a 5x5 is more of like a powerlifting style sets and rep range, and then anything above that is usually working more towards like bodybuilding, hypertrophy training. And so I'm like, what is like the best of both? And I think it's this. So I've been doing high volume for about the last 3 months, where I'll do like 10 sets of 10 to 15 reps, just like crazy massive volume. And it's helped me like get really shredded because it's high intensity for a long period of time, so you're going to be burning massive amounts of calories. But I just recently I have this really big urge to like put on more muscle now that I've seen some good results. So what I've been doing is three to four sets per movement and 6 to 10 reps. But in that 6 to 10 reps, at some point you will fail. So you have to pick your weights really methodically. You have to know yourself really well to know, where do I need to start when I jump into the exercise?
Like where you're going to fail at the 10 reps?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like you can go over. That's why I say 3 to 4 sets, because if you misjudge, it's okay if you do one set with higher reps but to failure. So if you choose a weight that puts you at failure at 20 reps, well, now you're killing the purpose of the movement. I mean, you're still getting your work done, but it's like my goal is to fail 3 times with heavy weight.
So essentially, what you're doing is you're you're looking for that failure at that 5 to 6 rep, you said, or
6 to 10.
6 to 10. You're
Yeah.
doing that so you're not putting on weight that you're like, oh, well, I know for a fact my brain's telling me I've I'm just going to throw out a number. I've benched 180, right? Just say I
Hmm.
know I could do 180 for 10. But instead of saying, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do, you say, okay, well, I'm going to put on 200 there because I think that is where I'm like,
Hmm.
I'll start to peter out about that 6 to 10 reps
Yeah.
situation. Gotcha.
It's kind of a way cooler style of training for me. Um,
Very
just
analytical.
because, yeah,
Yeah.
I like it because I have to stay connected with what I'm doing.
Right.
And I like the fact that it's 6 to 10 rep range because I know that even if I do 6 reps or 10, I just did that as hard as I could.
Right.
So I like that there's like an option, like a window of opportunity to just, it doesn't matter if you're here or there, you're getting that work done.
It's so funny because I've noticed it, like someone like you that has really kind of put a lot of time and effort into the gym and figuring out nutrition, gym, and all this other stuff. And someone like me who doesn't really, you have really taken the time to figure out what works for you. But for me, it like when you're saying this at the end of the day, it's like it's just lifting weights. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
no.
doesn't matter if you put 5 pounds on there and you do 30 reps, or if you put 30 pounds on there and do 10 reps. It's all doing the same
Yeah.
thing. I feel like it's just, I think when it what it comes down to is all the mentality of it, right?
I I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. Because you could sit there and say, okay, do you want to feel like you just are petered out after doing 5 pounds, or do you really want to feel at the end of the day, the end goal is the same. You're just more
Yeah.
weight versus less weight. You
I
know what I
know. It's
mean?
crazy. But it's also crazy to see how either one or the other will change your physique so much differently.
Right. And I think it depends on the person because every body is different. Just like every voice is different, just like every golf swing is different. You got to do what works best for you. You know what I mean?
No, no doubt.
And I feel like you're still trying to figure out
Dude,
what's best for you.
I know. It's a process, but it's a process that I really haven't taken super seriously. Like I've taken it seriously in the past, but now this thing has become like I've like embodied it completely.
You, you know what I would love to see you do, and I think you're kind of doing it with this, is I would love to see you start incorporating everything that you do, but incorporating intellectual thoughts with everything that you do. Not just, I'm just going to go do this and I'm not saying the research, not going and researching it. I'm talking about sitting there and thinking about, and it sounds like you're doing this, but thinking about, you're like, okay, I've done this, I've done this. What kind of, you know what I mean? Because I
Oh
do
yeah.
that. I do that with my golf swing. I'm just like,
Yeah,
okay, I need to think about this intellectually here. I'm like, I've been
bro.
doing this too much, and I just kind of throw myself in there, and I just kind of, and I'm like, I can't be doing that because if I don't have an intellectual process to the things that I'm doing, I don't improve. At least for me.
Dude, I'm telling you, my whole day is scheduled around this way of thinking.
Yeah.
Like from the moment I wake up, the first I have two decisions to make, all right? One, am I going to drink a Nos today or am I going to drink a white monster? That's a big deal. There's 54 carbs in a Nos.
Yeah.
There's only I think 6 in a white monster. I don't even count it because it doesn't even matter. Like there's lots of decisions. That's why I drink the zero sugar Dr. Pepper because I can get more beverages in per day and not have it count towards anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's everything ingested, everything I move.
Right.
Like,
Because I might incorporate that a little bit too. Because for me, I don't. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't like going to gym. I really don't. I just don't like it. I hate it. But if I try to incorporate some of that intellectual thinking, like I do with like my golf swing, I'll you know
mm-hmm.
I'll do a lift, and I'm like, okay, how did that feel? Did I feel good about that? Did I feel all the activation and all my muscles on that lift I just did? And if I didn't, I say, okay, try time to switch the thinking around. Try to, okay, I'm gonna try this now. Because for me, it's something that a thing that I did a long time ago that I hated doing was squats. Because
Mm-hmm.
I have relatively bad knees. Like
Yeah.
when I was growing, I was running on pavement, and they say running on pavement is just not good for your knees long distance. I ran a lot when I was growing, and so and I just have a history of bad knees in my family, and so doing squats puts a lot of pressure on my knees.
Yeah.
So when I first started lifting, I said, okay, I'm not going to do squats because number one, I wasn't doing it right, and number two, I just it was putting a lot of pressure on my knees.
Right.
But when I started, over the summer, started doing squats, I really started to focus. I took a intellectual approach to it, and now I'm like, I really do enjoy squats because I'm not just activating my legs. I'm activating everything, my core to help me, and I'm really focusing on
Uh-huh.
what I'm kind of, for me, it feels like I'm focusing in this is kind of odd, but my pelvic region as like my center and not going too far in one direction. Not going too far legs, not going too far all of my core. I feel like it's right in that center and everything from there's going up.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's like
It,
yeah.
it's cool because I think the reason I like moving weight so much and training is just because, like, obviously there's like your like tricep push downs, right? Tricep push downs is a movement. Well, then you have like all the attachments that you could use for that movement, and then you also have different hand placement per piece of equipment for that movement.
Yeah.
And there's so many variations that you can do, and like you eventually find the one that you really like to do the most.
Right.
That makes it feel the best for you. And like with squats, it's like you can change up your foot position,
Yeah.
like and your toes, and like you can change all that, your grip on the bar up top, like, and it just works for you. What feels the most comfortable provides me with the least amount of pain for the most amount of gain.
Right. And that's even like if you do bench press.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that like with bench press you can, if you uh put your hands out a little further, you're working more of your chest. But then if you bring your hands in closer and you drop your elbows closer to your core, then you're working triceps. I think that's
Ha!
so neat
I
that
love that. I
you could,
love that you said that.
and that's the thing is it's like for me, because the other day I was telling you this on the phone the other day, I just had to. I'm like, I need to fix some things with my golf swing because I just have been hitting it terrible. I have
Yeah.
a really bad issue with chunking it and then hitting the ball fat. And so I went to where I work. I can hit balls for free, as many balls as I want, and I could play golf as free as much as I want. So I went there, and on weekends we're on um, the grass tees, and I forgot about that. So I went, and I just in my mind I go, oh shit, I'm like nervous, like I'm nervous because I'm like I'm not going to be able to hit the ball because I'm going to be fat in it. So there was this one thing I really wanted to try working on, and dude, I was telling you this, I'm like I was hitting every shot pure. Of course I'm not a professional golfer, so there were some shots that weren't great, but
Mm-hmm.
overall I was hitting the ball first then turf. And for me on grass, that's very rare that I do that. And I was liking my ball flight and just that little thing I was working on. And it's small things, but it's incorporating those small things throughout the swing and
Mm-hmm.
really focusing on those. And,
Yeah.
you know, it was neat.
Yeah. I like that. See, yeah. I just like the development aspect, I guess. I like the change. I like the progress. It makes you excited, the feeling.
100%.
Like that's why I go to the gym because it
Yeah,
makes me feel good.
right.
Once I figure something out, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I figured that out by myself."
Right. I have
You
to
know?
I have to admit I haven't been in the gym in probably about a month.
Yeah.
Um but
That's okay.
gonna
I
try
was
to
there with you.
get back in here. I don't care
Yeah.
about upper body. I need to grow these freaking chicken legs, bro. I need to get some meat on that. Anyways,
Oh my
but I'm
God.
excited because I'm gonna try this new meal prep thing. Because for me, I don't know
Yeah.
about Taylor, but for me, breakfasts are the hardest thing for me because I have to have my cup of coffee. Like that is sacred time for me. Is me and my cup of coffee. That's like, don't talk to me, don't bother me.
I can't. Yeah.
And so, and I heard, and I don't know if this is true, that coffee is a food suppressant or
Appetite
yeah, appetite
suppressant.
suppressant. So if you drink coffee, you're not really hungry. But I figured I'm like, okay, I'm gonna meal prep my overnight oats. And I'm gonna eat that with my coffee or eat it before because it's in a little mason jar. I'm like, how easy is it to eat this overnight oats? That's 7 of them, been sitting in the fridge overnight. And what? That's like a
Did you
thousand
do that?
calories.
Did you prep them?
Not yet. I still have to go to
Oh,
the store and get. I have almost everything. I just need to get the protein stuff, the serious mass, and milk.
damn.
Milk, yeah,
Malk.
milk. So I'm excited to
Very
try it out.
nice. Yeah. I like it. I like incorporating routine.
Yeah.
Routines routine is important.
Okay. Perfect segue.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, here we go. Here we
This
go.
I want to this we could talk have multiple avenues on this, but we talked about it the last not really, but something
Yeah.
I've really wanted to talk about is narrowing the focus.
Okay. Yep.
Um so I had a meeting with my voice professor who is like he's my guy. He gives me he's my voice teacher. He gives me voice
Yeah.
lessons. And he's been doing this for years and he's, you know, teaching and he knows the industry of music really well. And one thing I've always said is I don't want to be stuck doing one thing. I want to be able to do multiple things in the focus of music. So whether that be conducting, musical theater, opera, teaching, recitals, what have you. In my meeting with him, I kind of said, I really don't know what I want to do, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I want to do just operas or if I want to just do musical theater or conducting. I don't know. And so, one thing that he said, and this was very clear in the meeting, and I'm going to have another meeting with him, is he says, Eric, it sounds like you need to do some soul searching to narrow your focus down.
Yep. Right.
Um, because as much as it's good to want to do multiple things, it's hard. So you need to find one thing that you focus on that you're going to put 100% effort into, put your 100% of your routine into. And then once that thing takes off or once you've done that thing, then you can start going and exploring different avenues. Yes, they're all in
Right.
music and yes, I could do them all, but it's hard if you want to do them all. And I think a lot of that comes from it stems from being like afraid of just being forced to do one thing or I don't know what it was. But he was right. And I've been doing a lot of that, thinking of like narrowing my focus down. And I think a lot of people are similar to me where they want to do multiple things And if you just really narrow your focus onto one thing that you're really super passionate about, creating a routine, creating habits, creating hard work and focus to that one thing, then once you start becoming successful doing that, then you can start exploring other things.
I heard I heard on a Chris Bumstead video yesterday. Um, Dog. Oh no, dude. I don't. Fuck. I should have done some prepping.
It's okay. I'm the only one that preps anything for this pod. Not joking.
Oh my gosh. I'll just the title of the video is Chest Workout with Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom. But that there's they're doing a workout together, and it in the middle of the workout they're basically having like an open interview style kind of situation. And it was really cool because they were talking about routine and they had a lot of good information on routine. And obviously, I only picked up on one thing that I can't even remember. So, but anyways, that was a good video I watched yesterday about routine. They were talking about how you've never met a successful person that doesn't have a routine. But then they also said that they were like a lot of the times people who aren't don't have a routine. Something along the lines of that.
So okay. So for me, I really go back and forth with this because everything media has ever taught you and I, millennials, whatever, is that in order to be successful, you need a routine. And I'm not disagreeing with this, but I go back and forth with this because they say, oh, only the successful people wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just like, I don't agree. I don't agree with these puzzle pieces that everybody tells you that you have to do in order to be successful. Because I think first and foremost, it depends on the person and your work ethic. It doesn't matter what time you wake up in the morning. As long as you're willing to work hard throughout the day, let's say you wake up at 10 o'clock, but you're up till 4 o'clock in the morning working hard doing that thing, it
I
doesn't matter
I
if you
agree.
wake up at 4 or 5. Now,
I think oh,
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think the reason why people make such a big deal about that is because the people who do that, they aren't complaining about getting up that early. So
Yeah,
like you're saying, it shouldn't matter if you get up at 4 because if we both got fucking 4 hours of sleep, well, then don't complain about it.
right.
Like that's kind of
A- a-
like the people are doing it because they love to do that. The people who are waking up that early love to wake up that early because they're missing out on extra sleep they could get it by sleeping in. I think that's the whole premise. Doesn't matter on the time.
Right. And it just another thing for me is it's just like everybody, it's like all of these people who are successful have created a routine and have created a blueprint for themselves on how to
Mm-hmm.
become successful. But what's very hard is that you have to find your own blueprint. And that is the only way you could become successful. Because
Yeah.
just like it's just like I just said 10 minutes ago. Every golf swing is different. Every body is different. Every brain
Yeah.
is different. You have to do what works for you.
Right.
You can't force yourself to follow someone else's blueprint on how to become successful because
Mm-hmm.
that's not the way it is. You have to do what's best for you and how your brain works because all of our brain, don't train your brain to work like somebody else's. You have to train your brain to do your own thing and become successful. Honestly, I think the biggest blueprint to become successful, and I don't even think it's a blueprint. The only thing you need to have to be successful is work hard.
Dude, as long as you have that fundamental in your back pocket, No reason you couldn't get wherever you wanted.
And something else I wanted to talk about a long time ago was the difference between hard work and working hard, because they're two different things. Because one thing we said in a podcast, and maybe I already said this in a podcast, but I think about it a lot, is I think I was saying like something about, would you want to go out? I can't remember exactly. I asked you this in the podcast. I'm like, would you want to go out and shovel shit for 12 hours? Hard work is different than working hard, right? For me, I view hard work as going graveling shovel, graveling dirt, pulling weeds, like hard, like that is hard work, right? Working hard is different for like me. Like, for instance, if I go to someone, I go to a cowboy or a rancher that lives in Montana or Wyoming, and I tell them I'm a hard worker in opera. They're like, that's not hard work because you're sitting in a fancy studio playing your piano and singing. That's not hard work. It's not hard. I think there are some elements that are hard work to it, but I'm working hard in that facet, right? And I think it depends on everybody's, like, for me, in my mind, like hard manual labor, that's
Like
hard work, like
physical effort.
physical. Oh, okay, well then that takes me down another route, because I think there is also physical and mental hard work. You know what I mean? Like,
I think maybe that's what we ended up on was the physical versus mental.
right, because I don't want to sit there and do mental, like a theoretical physics. That's mentally hard
Because
work.
it doesn't take a whole lot of thought to do a hard work.
Right. As
Like
long as you're just passionate and you work hard in something,
yeah.
you'll be
But
successful.
working hard, you could be doing the same task, but also doing something more mental. Like if you're the manager of that task, there's a reason the manager's in that position for that task
Right. Like, for instance, at work,
because he's
like
working harder.
I work harder than everybody else at my work. I'm a hard worker. I'm doing more than my coworkers.
Might have to explore this topic more.
Yeah. Um.
I don't feel like I think we're close.
Well, I don't think there's an answer. I just think
Maybe that's what we said last time.
I think that well, it could be. I can't even remember if we talked about this. It's been so long. Um.
I
But
remember talking to you about it. I don't know who was on the podcast though.
right. At this stage, it could be. um. But yeah, I just think I think people need to decide and not give a flying fuck what other people think. People are so goddamn concerned about what other people think. And yeah, I think you and I fall into this category. We want to be perceived by society that we are working hard, that we're hard workers. But, well, what does that really mean? Because I've gotten into that place, too, of times of like, oh, well, I want people to see me as a hard worker, where I'm like, am I really doing the hard work for myself or am I doing it for other people? Right?
Yeah. Interesting thought.
Doing music makes it it's a little easier because I am doing it for myself. But I do fall into the sometimes of doing it for other people, and that's hard, especially for our generation, is to not do things for other people.
Like the common courtesy?
No.
No.
Oh, okay, hold on. When I say don't do things for other people, that's not saying going out of your way and working hard for people. That's not what I mean. But if you get yourself into a mental headspace of trying to always get approval from the people around you by doing things that aren't necessarily for yourself, then A, you won't be happy doing what you're doing. And that's just it, period. You just won't be happy doing what you're doing, right? Because when
Right.
I say don't do things for other people, that comes across as like a very selfish, like millennial Gen Z thing to say, right? And that's not what I'm trying to say at all. It's good to do things for other people, but when it comes to yourself and your career, and you have to do things for yourself, right? Or the greater good of the company. Because I'm working hard for the greater good of music and myself, obviously. But, and the composers, obviously, I want to do the composers justice. But, like, you work hard welding for the company name and yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying.
Is that a pride thing?
No.
No.
It's a people pleasing kind of thing. I think if you do try to please everybody, then how you're going to please people by taking pride in your work, trying to not trying to make people approve of your work. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
I'm lost. But I do know that I've been thinking about something with the routine, circling back. Um, I feel like
Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to a kindergartner.
good.
Sorry.
um, call it layman's explanation.
I try to dumb down my way
Yeah.
of talking when I'm around you.
Oh, good.
No.
Um, fuck you butt cheek. What was I gonna say?
Uh, uh,
Uh, oh, okay.
routine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna hit on a topic that I know that you and I are not the only people in this thought,
Yeah, let's work through it.
and it's it I really have been thinking a lot about it, and I think there's a lot of guys these days that are struggling with females.
Okay.
I think it's a hot topic.
Yeah.
I think it's honestly a topic that everybody is toying with
Yeah.
um,
Let's get
in
into
their
it.
20s.
Yeah,
And
let's get into it.
and then to include, I think it's just any relationship, because I feel like we're all seeking a relationship, whether it's man, female, man, woman, female, man or woman.
Right.
And honestly, the way that I see it, it's like it's social media, in my opinion. Social media is pushing
An agenda.
what? Well, I would agree,
Yeah.
but I think there's this like almost fake war going on. Like we both view it as like this, we're both being fed some shit. How do I fucking say it? Social media is pushing that females are bad for men and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? We're seeing time and time again
Oh, yeah,
social
yeah.
media being produced in instances where the female has made the man feel like shit.
Yeah.
I see that come up on my TikTok all the time. It's just another example of a girl that made a man feel like shit. But then on the female side, it's another situation where a man has made a girl feel like shit.
Right.
And that's all you're being fed is
Just
whether you're a man or a woman,
right.
we're both being fed the same plate of shit.
Just flip-flopping. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we just believe it wholeheartedly that that's just how it is everywhere, right? But then it's like you go and try to put yourself out there and it happens to you. Well, now you believe everything you see on social media. You're getting more backing and security that you're correct about your experience through social media. So like uh, like if I'm pursuing a female and she ghosts me. Then all of a sudden, my social media feed is full of women ghosting men.
Hmm.
And I believe it. I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one out here doing this. All females fucking do this.
Right.
And to keep to adding to the story, same for females. You know, a guy ghosts a female. Now their social media has other guys ghosting other females. It makes you feel like you're not the only one. It makes you believe it more.
Right.
And so this social media situation is really concerning to me because it's like if you have a gigantic population under the age of 30 all being force fed the same shit about relationships, what's that future look like?
Right.
Because I think all guys and girls are struggling right now with that.
Right. And my viewpoint on this, and this might be a really kind of old mentality, but I don't really think it is. Um, like you were saying, social media wants you to believe something, but for me, I'm not going to say that I have not fallen in the trap of relationship stuff with social media, because I definitely have. But on the whole, I am not a big social media person. I never have been. I have it, but I haven't been. I don't believe. It's like I take everything with a grain of salt. I don't believe
Right.
everything I see. And so that has helped me in my relationships that I've had over the past, because I will not fall under this agenda that, or this category of being every other guy. That's not who I am. I
Yeah.
stay true to myself, but it is hard because you do go and you see all these things on social media, and then you start, it's inevitable. We're human beings. It's hard
Yeah.
not to start thinking of, you're
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
well, what if?
that's what it's designed to do.
I'm
Like it
just
is
like,
purely designed for that.
I just, for me, I think honestly, society would be a better place if we didn't have social media.
I would be so curious to know what it would be like.
It would be like when your grandma, grandpa, or your parents grew up. There were, of course, there were issues, but I'm just like, dude, think about
It's
the kind of
simple.
life they lived. Just simple. Because
I mean, it
crazy
wasn't
freak,
simple at the time.
crazy concept. I could be in Oregon or I could be in New York and know exactly what's happening in Oregon or San Francisco or Los Angeles in New York.
Hmm.
Back in 1985, you didn't know that unless you watched TV, read a newspaper, or had a phone call with somebody.
Right.
You could go on your phone and see what's going on in Japan,
Yeah.
or what someone, a social media influencer, is doing in Japan or whatever.
Got a good point there.
It's, and well, this is something I told my ex-girlfriend and her best friend, is I said, I do not constantly need to know what you're doing all the time. I'm just like, give
Right.
me a phone call. I'm like, I don't need to tell you that I'm going to go do this. Now, when you're in a serious relationship, yes, it's courteous to say, hey, I'm going out with the boys. I'll let you know if I need you to come pick us up or whatnot. Right? But there's so much insecurities, and it's only fair, but there's so much insecurity going on now that, you're in your mind, you're like, they're doing something with somebody else, or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Dude, all of the mystery and the mysteriousness of relationships have completely gone out of the window. And it's like, dude, that's what makes it special, because at the end of the day, like, let's just say, I'm going to give a theoretical here. Let's say
Okay.
I'm in grad school, right? And I'm living with a girlfriend, right? Or maybe I'm not, right? Let's say I'm not. So I do my week before phones were invented, or
Hmm.
before FaceTime or smartphones, right? I have a
Yeah.
phone call during the week and I tell them how blah, 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 blah. Well, at the end of the week, let's say Friday comes around or Saturday. Okay, well, guess what? I can spare a day to hang out and spend the whole day with you on Saturday. She comes over and we have a fantastic time going to the lake, going to the river, sitting out in the sun, going and playing golf or whatever the case is, because you weren't I don't even know what to say. You weren't uh um constantly knowing what they were doing 24/7 via Snapchat, via FaceTime, via Instagram,
Hmm.
because everybody
Like if
now.
it's oh, what's the saying? It's out of sight, out of mind. It
Right.
used to be more of an out of sight, out of mind kind of a situation, but now that you can keep them in sight, now they're still in your mind,
Right. And
you know?
it's not even that, but it's like then you have something to talk about. Whereas if you constantly, when you're not with that person, right? When you're not with that person and you're still having conversations with them, and then when you see them, they're just like, "Oh, you're boring and like we never do anything." And I'm like, "That's because I just talked to you for the 4 days in a row. What do you expect? I am a broke college student or whatever the case may be, because guess what? A lot of people don't have money. All we see are the extremes of both sides. You see the poor and you see the rich. You don't see the middle, right? And at the extent of it is, you can't go do these fun, cute things that you see on social media because you don't have money, right?
Yeah.
And I've been able to,
It's
well,
it's bro, what you're talking about, that is a heavily influenced thing through social media. Like like that whole topic is just a fucking heavy push at a different angle in social media. Because you see all these motherfucking couples that are living their best lives, and it's just like, where are you getting funding to go to Malaysia for 3 weeks? Like,
and
what?
here's another thing. Our generation doesn't understand what coexisting means.
Right?
Put this in perspective. When you are able to sit in a room with your partner and be silent and you do your own things, that is coexisting. But our generation has a tendency to think once we get to that point, something's wrong because they don't want to talk to me, or we don't talk anymore, or we don't go and do the fun things like we used to when we first started dating. Well, no shit. In my opinion, I love the coexisting part. To me, I'm an introverted person. To me, that's special. I can have a girlfriend that sits in the room and reads a book while I play video games.
I
Dude,
I see what you're saying there. But I think, in my opinion, I think there should be a healthy balance of either side, because in I think naturally females are more pulled towards doing like those activities.
yeah,
But maybe that's just because I'm also an introverted person, and I'm like, I'd much rather just sit inside. Like,
right,
but I do, once I'm out there hiking or doing those activities, I do really like them.
right. You're like, damn, we should do this more often.
My biggest issue, I guess what I should say is my biggest issue is finding the urge to go and do that.
Right. You need
I
to,
feel like I need someone who has the already there push to say, let's go on a hike, bro.
right.
Because if a dude said that to me, I'd be like, yeah, I'm like, I'd be down, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't want to look up a hike to do in the middle of the day in Las Vegas when it's 106 degrees out.
Yeah.
But if someone hit me up, I'd be like, oh, let's try it out.
Right. It's funny that you brought that up because it's a weird.
That was such a crazy whirlwind of topic changes. I feel like I misspoke there a couple times, but
Yeah.
hopefully people understand and don't take
Um.
offense.
No. Yeah. It's tricky, and you can't let the outside world dictate what you're doing in a relationship.
Talking about social media,
Yeah. Not just in general. You know.
I really hate unsolicited relationship advice.
Yeah.
That shit really drives me nuts.
I don't think I've ever got it because I'm a
Pretty
very
closed off.
I'm very private when it comes to
Yeah,
my relationship, even with my family. I'm very
yeah.
private about that because it's they're my issues. I don't want them to be my family's
I, th-
issues or anybody else's. You know.
I have told myself, like I think I've told you, I'm like my goal was that the next female I talk to would be my wife. Because I'm getting to be a little bit older. I'm still young. I still have a lot of time, but I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty adamant about finding that person.
Yeah.
And with that, and what I've learned, this next one, I'm just like I shall never talk disrespectfully in public to anybody about that significant other. And
Right.
I just wanted to be like way more like closed off to the rest of the world, you know,
Right.
like because it's gonna be a special person. So
Right.
like, I feel like then that should be respected.
Right. 100%.
Yeah,
Um. I was gonna say something.
I was just I've been foolish in the past with oversharing.
Yeah. 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 I don't know. I can't relate because I'm not an oversharer. I tell you things, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
Um, but sometimes I have told the wrong things to the wrong people who give wrong advice.
mm, yeah,
People that, I'm like, "Oh, well they're my friends and hopefully that they have my back and they give me
yeah,
really really just not great information." And then me being an overthinker, I go and I overthink about it and then I hone in on it and then it just stresses me out and then I start believing it when it's not the case. And that's why I'm really kind of private about my stuff cuz ultimately the only person that's going to know what's best is yourself. I'm sorry and I agree with this, even your parents. I'm sorry. Parents, when it comes to relationship stuff, they might know for themselves, but they don't know what's best for
dude.
me. I don't know. They
Yeah,
don't know, right? And so that's why I don't want them to give me something that I will overthink about and start overthinking it when it's just not who I am and it's not true,
right.
right?
Every relationship is so the same, but so different.
Right.
You know,
Right. And a
so many
lot
different dynamics,
and a lot of it is giving and taking.
dude. I feel like we've been trying to tackle a relationship topic the whole time, but it's like you'll never find the answer there.
No. Right.
Routine.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to ultimately get to was the topic of um, putting a relationship in the midst of an already functioning routine.
You got a relationship right now.
Bobby?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See how un okay, okay, I'm going to try to find a word. I'm probably going to make it up. Rutilic, that is. How
unroutinely.
yeah, that relationship is.
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry, but I think I kind of know where you're wanting to go with that routine in relationships, but you cannot categorize a relationship as a routine.
no, no, no. I'm saying if you're already single and you're thinking about getting into a relationship with an already functioning routine, making the decision on whether or not you want that to be a part of your life in the already functioning routine you have.
That chaos, that
Yeah.
unschedulized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because like I have gotten. Oh, what? Go ahead.
Dude.
You're gonna forget.
No, I was going to say, I was thinking about this because I've told you a couple things and things that I'm dealing with. I'm like, I'm just going to put stuff in my schedule. If things happen the way I want them to be there, I'm going to put them in my schedule. Based off of what you're saying, I'm like, maybe that's not a good idea.
Mm, yeah.
And just go with the flow. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's designing a routine that's very high functioning. Like you can give your max effort per thing in your routine, and it's just like it's a constant day to day learning experience. At least for me, I like to figure out what's the most like efficient way to do everything possible.
Time management.
Yeah.
You have to have impeccable time management if you want a relationship, a career,
Mm-hmm.
and a
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be honest. My time management sucks. I'm the
Dude,
biggest procrastinator on the planet.
I think that's the origin of some of my little anger spurts. Um,
Yeah.
Here's a really great example. I think the reason a relationship a relationship is solely a time-based thing. I had 7 minutes and 57 seconds before I had to be on this Discord call with you. I set a timer up, and I'm doing the dishes. I'm like, dude, I can crank out these dishes before the podcast, and I won't have to worry about them later. That'd be sick. So I'm sitting there just cranking out dishes, and like I've been letting Bobby roam around the apartment, and he's been doing awesome, and I've been congratulating him on how awesome he's been. I slept on the couch with him half the night last night as a little like pat on the back. Good job, buddy. And I'm doing these dishes, and he's just walking around the kitchen, and I'm like fucking beat bopping away, and I have a mat underneath where the kitchen sink is, and he's like chilling out like by my feet, just like looking up at me, watching. I'm like, hey, dude, you're so cute, and he walks away, and I'm still standing there beat bopping, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, what's going on with this mat? And I look down, and I'm just like, bro, it looked like I was like, it looked like I was like churning butter. Dude, fucking Bobby pissed on the mat, and the mat has it's like a Velcro like material. And the more I stepped on his piss spot, the more it started foaming up. And I was like, bitch. I'm just like, there's no way you just pissed right next to my foot. And like, I didn't get pissed at that. I got pissed at fuck. I'm not going to be able to finish the dishes now because you just wasted my time. And so I was like, all right. And so I had to clear my head. I was like, wait. I'm like, maybe he didn't pee. And I'm like, there's only one way to find out. So I grab the old paper towels, and I'm like, as soon as I step on this bitch, it's either going to be yellow or it's going to be clear. And I'm like, maybe I just dropped water all over the floor. I'm like, maybe it was my fault. No, Bobby definitely pissed. And it was a full piss.
Ooh.
A entire like 10-second piss.
How did you even miss that?
I literally don't know. It was in the middle of the mat. So like, maybe he was in between my freaking legs and let her rip.
Wow.
I was, yeah.
Anyways,
I was like,
routine.
dude. So yeah, routine. I'm like, that is definitely a hindrance to the routine.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's why you add stuff into your routine, is to develop further and add more to your plate to add that extra like little pizzazz in there.
Let
Got to
me
keep
ask
it entertaining.
let me ask you this question. Are you a big procrastinator?
It just depends on what it is. But
Like
I mean,
I'll say in general, have you deemed yourself as a procrastinator? Just like
I'd say
thinking about homework and life and stuff like that.
I'd say like 60% of my
Yeah.
life has been procrastination.
See, that's the big thing, and this is now a lot of things are starting to be clear. Is big time. I'm a big time procrastinator, and I will wait till the last bloody minute
Mm-hmm.
to do an assignment. And
Yeah.
in music, I can't get away with that. I can't procrastinate. And so this last year, I really learned not to procrastinate, but it creeps in a lot. Like with homework, I'll do it last minute. I'll go and I'll do my Italian speaking last minute. And I really, because generally think I've got good time management, but I don't because I procrastinate on all of my work so bad that during the time when I'm not doing that, I'm like, just leave me alone. Versus, I feel like if I won't don't procrastinate and get things done as soon as I possibly can, then towards the end of the day, I'm like, okay, yeah, well, I can do this. I can afford a phone call, or I can, go do this, because then it opens you up to a whole bunch of stuff. Like you get all your stuff done at the beginning of the week, then you're like, okay, well, this weekend I can go do this fun thing. Versus, I can't because I got homework. You know?
Something that I have recently learned in regards to that kind of topic, procrastination. Um, if you, in my opinion, if you procrastinate to the last second, you are leaving yourself short of more potential opportunities to learn something.
Right.
You're totally doing yourself a disservice by procrastinating because I think of it like this way at work. Let's say we're putting a car together to go to a race and we wait till the last 2 or 3 days before it needs to be on a trailer to leave. If we do that, history has shown that something is probably bound to go wrong. And then you're leaving yourself short of potential to do better at the race. You're putting yourself in a real pickle to make sure that everybody's going to be fit to race. If you're all sleep deprived and there needs to be a driver of the car and the driver of the car is sleep deprived, does that really seem like something you want to risk? Because sleep, in my opinion, is a part of safety equipment.
Right.
You are an essential part of making sure that all the safety equipment works. Like if you need to use a fire extinguisher and you're just so mentally out of it, like that you can't, what are you gonna do?
Right.
So, like with what I was saying, it's the time management portion of those things to keep yourself from procrastinating. Because what if you get the car done 2 weeks early, and then you're just like, you know what? I think we'd do better if we put nitrous on this car. Now
Hmm.
you have time to add to it. You have time to learn more about it. You
Right.
have cushion time for it to break and for you to learn something different. That's just my example in car terms. Not
Right.
saying that that's like an actual real life thing that's happened, but
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm just saying if you, in any situation if you procrastinate, you could potentially be losing out on more knowledge.
Right.
So why would you do that?
Right. We've talked about 5 different topics today.
I know.
This is the bright byproduct of not having a podcast for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. This is truly a tangent.
So I hope that the people have bared with us through this cluster F of a podcast.
And it's only been an hour.
I know.
We've just been on a rampage.
All of life's issues.
Oh my gosh. Girls, procrastination, food, lifting, golf.
Moral of the story is just do better.
Work harder. Sleep
No,
less.
but I think it's just I don't know. Just find I think the for me it's just find what works best for you. There's no right or wrong answers. It's just this is just
I,
strictly based off of what Taylor and I live and hopefully someone could relate.
I've always kind of ever since I heard it, I've kind of lived my life according to it. But essentially, if you break down your day into 3 8-hour segments, 8 hours being sleep time, 16 hours being
8 hours being work, the other 8 nothing.
can't say nothing, right? What
Right.
do you do with your 16 hours while you're awake, while you allot that time to be awake?
Right.
You could potentially have 2 careers going,
That
like
is true.
potentially. Like there's no reason for you to not do as good as Elon Musk
Right.
is a common example thrown out. He has the same amount of time that we have.
He's just
So,
managed it better.
yeah, he's just done a lot better about making everything go his way. And a
He
lot of
makes
shit hasn't probably gone his way.
every minute counts.
Every second counts.
Yep.
And he's just figured it out. He's
Oh,
got that recipe.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Find your recipe.
yeah.
If you're okay with going to work 8 hours, sleeping 8 hours, and the other 8 hours doing absolutely nothing, then that's what
Don't
works
ask for
best
any
for you.
more then.
Right.
Don't ask for any more than what you're giving into it.
I know some people that are fine with that,
Yep.
that cherish those 8 hours to go do fun things, to go.
Yeah.
So it's finding those things. Anyways,
If
I know.
you, if
Oh,
you,
sorry.
what I highly suggest, sorry, you get a notebook and I do this frequently with dieting. I did it yesterday. If I think I'm getting off track with a certain topic, such as dieting, I go and I eat how I've been eating normally to a T. I just whatever I've been eating, 3 pizzas a day, 5 burgers a day, 15 pancakes, whatever. I'll just write it down. And then I write down the macronutrients to see where am I at on a day to day if that's what I've been doing. So yesterday I did it to see a ballpark where am I at with my macros. And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm fucking off." I'm like, "I need to dial it in." Do that with your day. Wake up, eat breakfast. How long did it take you to eat breakfast? Right? Take the dog for a walk. Okay, that took me 15 minutes. I took a shit for 30. Like you write everything down. You just categorize the whole day and you see where did I spend all my time? You know,
Huh.
I spent 45 minutes driving to work. I spent 45 minutes driving back home. Like look and see how you can make that more efficient, you know?
Yeah.
Like, see where you're going wrong. That's
Right.
a really good place to start. A
Right.
super good place to start.
That's really interesting. Huh. I'm probably gonna try that actually.
It's a good move. It gets you in check really fast.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yep. Tip of the day. Tip of the day.
Yeah.
That's not any better.
No. Anyways.
Tips and tricks from Tay. Tip of the Tay. Lock it off.
Tip of the. Oh, sorry. Anyways.
I think that's where I have had enough.
Yeah. I honestly, I know this was. I mean, it's not our full hour and a half, but we're at that like hour mark. That's. I don't know if I got any more to say. We ripped through that.
Yeah.
Sorry. In
It's
advance.
150.
I'm surprised if anybody's still listening at this
Truthfully.
juncture, at our juncture. Do you have any more to add, or is that you kind of capped out?
No, that's all I got.
Okay. Well, thank you all for listening, watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. That's such a weird word. Subscribe, or follow, and share it.
You know what else is a weird word? Down.
Down.
Yeah.
Down. OWN.
Yeah.
DOWN. I'm trying to think what other words are something OWN.
I think it's because
Town.
I've said down. I've said down so many times to Bobby that it's like, I'm like, that's a weird word.
Down. Well, we could get
Because
into.
I think about it from like somebody else who doesn't speak English, listening to me say down, and I'm like,
well,
weird.
let's put this into perspective. The English language is full of a whole bunch of stuff. The other day I saw on TikTok, it was
I love this.
a double negative, and in the caption she says, "I cannot not something blah 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 blah." In my grammar brain, I'm just like, oh, a double negative with no comma.
I cannot not resist.
I cannot not resist.
Yeah.
I cannot not resist. I cannot.
Ah.
Or I can't not resist. You see? You got to have a comma if you use a double negative. You got to.
Right.
People don't. Just like, here's another one. YOU''RE means you are. YOUR means your.
Yeah.
That concept, people don't understand that concept. But that's can't.
You know, when that
Can't
concept
means
popped up in school, it was one of the few things I knew instinctually. I need to learn the difference between these couple things here.
oh yeah.
That was like one of the only things I really made sure I gotta know these because people will correct me on them.
Well, and it's just like it and it's.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Right.
Yeah.
We've got all these kind of, I don't know exactly what they're called. There's a name for them. I wish I knew. But like can't,
Yeah.
CAN''T means cannot.
Yeah. Or like 2 and 2.
2 and 2. That's a big one. Oh, people get that fucked all the time, and it pisses me off.
I still do it. I do it pretty, like I use it pretty well, but there's a couple times where I'm like, we're just gonna
gloss over this.
Yeah.
The English language is really complicated, and there are all fancies, apostrophe, colons that you can use, and people don't use them right, or people don't use them at all when they could use them. And I just find it best that I'm just going to continue to use them as my knowledge allows me to. And if people pick up on that, then people pick up on that. But it's funny because I had a conversation with Tyler Fishback, Tyler, and we were talking about, like, they were saying, well, because I have a higher level of education, and yes, it is in music, but it's I have a master's degree. I should be able to speak and write like I have a master's degree. Doesn't matter if it's in music or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler was saying, oh, well, I want to be upper management. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, do you think that being upper management and being emailing clients, it's not, you could just get away with using grammar that you learned in 5th grade or 6th grade? And their argument, because it was his roommate too, were saying, oh, well, people expect that from someone like in his level of a blue collar, right? And I'm like, dog, no.
Dog.
I'm like, no. I expect that from every human being, no matter what education level you have.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a management and you can't email a client with proper grammar, I'm going to be like, I might not take you as seriously as someone that has, I don't know. But that's just me because I value that.
Yeah.
I guess.
It's like the further I get into topics, the more I realize how situational a lot of these topics are.
It's very biased. I mean, at the end of the day, we only know what you and I've experienced and not other people.
Right. Yeah. Because emails have
no, go ahead.
Oh, emails God. Have always been more of a, we're just ripping here, have been more of a formal way to contact someone. I'm always like, if it's an email, then it's formal and it's going to be grammatically correct, and I'm going to maybe think about have someone read it before I send it. Like, that's the way that I have always operated with an email for whatever reason. And I think it depends on who you're talking to in the email too. But like if it's like one of your vendors or whatever, I'm like, it just needs to be professional.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought you were going down a way different path with that. And I'm like, Here we go. Here we go.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Enough said, dog.
Oh, man. Anyways. Yeah.
Got a week ahead of us.
Oh, 46 hours plus this next week I'll be working. Because Thursday, Friday, Saturday is the biggest tournament of the year at my golf course. They call it the Furnace. Biggest tourney of the year. They've got me scheduled from 5 a.m. to 3. And that's just the base. That's like a suggestion. Like, I could be there, honest to God, till probably 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of those days.
Yeah.
I work Monday, my typical 1 to close, so that's about 7.5 hours. And as we get further into the summer, it will slowly go down and down. And Tuesday, Wednesday off, and then Sunday I open 5:30 to 1:30, and that's not a suggestion. I come in at 5, I leave at 1:30. But 46 hours, that's crazy. And I'm like, I've been asking for it, but I'm like, a part of me's not looking forward to that. The money will be great because that's also when each person rakes in like $300 a night in tips.
Good.
So
Good.
it's good and it's bad at the same time, but I'm like, my back is going to be killing me because I'll be standing for 10 hours plus.
Carrying the weight of the team. I know all about it.
You know what?
I'm just playing.
There's a part of me that wants to be like, you know what? You haven't given me enough hours, so I'm not going to put in 150% effort. I'm just going to do exactly the amount of work I'm getting paid for my hourly rate each day. I'm going to do that exact amount of work, and I'm not going to exceed that. I'm not going to, but that's such a hard battle for me because then I get in it and I'm just like, I start going, and I'm just like,
It's two ways of thinking on that. The classic, I'm going to work for what I'm getting. I'm going to work for my wage, or I'm going to work at my wage.
right,
You work for it or work at it.
right. It's a very millennial way of thinking, but
Yeah.
anyways.
But that'll be good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what I got going on this week, and I'm just like, oh,
I will be golfing a lot, though. I'll try this new thing, actually playing golf. Sorry.
I got a big week. I just realized. I have an important phone call tomorrow.
Ooh.
I'm not going to divulge,
Damn it.
but
Nice.
yeah,
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Prepare for it now.
I am nervous.
That's good. It's good to be
Yes.
nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Nerves are good.
Yeah. Panic is not.
No. If someone is ever anxious or stressed, don't tell them to calm down.
Just punch them.
No. Oh, shit.
I'd show him a picture of Bobby. Hey, look at this beautiful picture of this dog.
Don't tell. Oh, I can't. Never mind. Scratch that. I forgot what I was going to say.
Mm.
Anyways, I'm going to go. I'm so freaking hungry. I haven't eaten yet.
Dude, those chicken thighs that I made were bomb. Bomb.
I think I could smell corn dogs, and I think my dad made himself corn dogs for lunch.
Just go eat all of them quick.
I'm jonesing for a corn dog, low key.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'll probably make a
Bet
sandwich.
you are.
I don't know.
All right.
Alrighty. Anyways, that's it. Follow, like, subscribe, share, do your thing, or don't. It's up to you. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Okay.
Alrighty. Peace.